Floodplain management is a community based effort to prevent or reduce the risk of flooding, resulting in a more resilient community. Multiple groups with a stake in protecting their communities from flooding carry out floodplain management functions, including zoning, building codes, enforcement, education, and other tasks. While FEMA has minimum floodplain management standards for communities participating in the National Flood Insurance Program, adopting higher standards will lead to safer, stronger, and more resilient communities. To improve Virginia's flood protection programs and to consolidate all related programs in one agency, responsibility for coordination of all state floodplain programs was transferred in 1987 to the Virginia Department of Conservation and Recreation.
DCR is the coordinating agency for the National Flood Insurance Program as well as managing the state's flood hazards. In particular, it aims to prevent loss of life, reduce property damage, and conserve the natural and beneficial values of the state rivers and coastal floodplains. To achieve these goals, DCR promotes the National Flood Insurance Program's compliance and participation, offers technical assistance and community education, coordinates with other state and federal agencies, and provides funding through the Dam Safety, Flood Prevention and Protection Assistance Fund. Risk awareness is the raising of understanding within the population of what risk exists, their potential impacts, and how they are managed.
Water is an attractive factor when people choose where to live. Historically, humans have chosen to live close to rivers for domestic and agricultural water supply, as well as navigational purposes.
It's estimated that 80% of the world's population lives within 60 miles of an ocean, lake, or river. Over 500 million people owe their livelihoods directly to water, and two-thirds of the global economy is derived from activities that involve water in some form. Floodplains are dynamic ecosystems that perform many functions critical to the ecology of a watershed. Floodplains provide groundwater recharge, filter sediment and contaminants, transport nutrients, and support plant and animal habitats. Floodplains also reduce flooding and limit flood-related damages through their floodway conveyance and storage functions. Even though the natural functions of floodplains and the hazards associated within their occupancy are widely known, floodplains and their functions continue to be lost to encroaching developments, mining, agriculture, and other activities. These activities alter the floodplain landscape. They not only have an ecological impact on the integrity of our watercourses, but they also have significant social and economic consequences. Floods in developed floodplains devastate families, businesses, and communities. They also cause more damage to life and property than any other natural hazard. Riverine floods are characterized by gradual riverbank overflows caused by extensive rainfall over an extended period of time. Urban floods occur when the drainage system in a city or town fails to absorb the water from heavy rain. The lack of natural drainage in an urban area can also contribute to flooding. Water flows out into the streets, making driving very dangerous. Although water levels can be just a few inches deep, urban floods can cause significant structural damage. Flash floods are fast-moving waters that sweep everything in their path. They are caused by heavy rainfall or rapid snow thaw. Flash floods usually cover a relatively small area and occur with little to no notice, generally less than 6 hours. The rapid water torrents can move large objects such as cars, rocks, and trees. Pluvial floods form in flat areas where the terrain can't absorb the rainwater, causing puddles and ponds to appear. Pluvial flooding is similar to urban flooding, but it occurs mostly in rural areas. The agricultural activities and properties in areas where pluvial floods have occurred can be seriously affected. Coastal floods are caused by strong winds or storms that move towards a coast during high tide. When powerful waves breach the coast dune or dike, the area is usually flooded. Coastal areas with fewer defenses and lower elevations are the most affected. Now, we enter the world of Floodville, Virginia. Floodville has varying levels of risk associated with flooding. You can see the structures throughout the community and their proximity to the river and its tributaries. Not only are the structures located within a certain distance from the water, but they are elevated at a range of heights depending on the landscape conditions. Under normal conditions, the Floodville River is at 0 feet elevation on average. If the water level is far below this level for an extended period of time, the area may be considered under a drought. When the water exceeds its normal carrying capacity and rises above the average gauge level, water can overflow the banks and induce flooding. This demonstration will show you several scenarios that are typical in flooding events. The first will be a riverine flooding demonstration. The meteorologists have accurately forecasted heavy downpours in Floodville, and here comes the rain. As the rain continues to fall, the river's water levels begin to rise. Without any kind of mitigating factors, the rise of water can occur quickly, overtopping the banks and begin to intrude on developed lands. As we mentioned, floodplains have natural beneficial functions, which also include reducing the impact of excessive amounts of precipitation. When wetlands are properly maintained, they naturally absorb and provide a buffer to excess precipitation, allowing for increased storage and draining capacity.
Anywhere it can rain, it can flood, and floods can occur on any given day of the year. We do see a lot of flooding in the spring due to snowmelt. Those April showers and water conveyance systems get clogged from fall and winter debris.
One low-cost method of reducing this risk is to keep gutters and ditches clean and free of obstructions that will hinder water from draining. Homes can be elevated so the lowest floor is above the anticipated flood level. The base flood elevation on the flood insurance rate map will aid in finding what the water level may be. Over time, Floodville has changed a bit. More development has occurred, and large-scale developments, such as the shopping center, created a lot of impervious surface. Impervious surfaces are artificial structures such as roads, sidewalks, driveways, and parking lots, as well as industrial areas such as airports and distribution centers, all of which use considerable paved areas that are covered by water-resistant materials such as asphalt, concrete, brick, and stone, in addition to rooftops. Soils compacted by urban development are also highly impervious. Impervious surfaces reduce the natural functions of floodplains and increase the risk of flood hazards by sealing the soil surface, eliminating rainwater infiltration, and natural groundwater recharge. While urban areas cover only 3% of the United States, it is estimated that runoff is the primary source of pollution in 13% of rivers, 18% of lakes, and 32% of estuaries. Because impervious surfaces displace living vegetation, they reduce ecological productivity and interrupt atmospheric carbon cycling. The meteorologists have accurately forecasted heavy downpours in Floodville again, and here comes the rain. When storms come to Floodville in this future setting, more water is falling from the sky than they have ever seen before. Not only are their sewers designed for an older rain event, but the increased impervious surfaces accelerate runoff, causing the water to move faster and flood areas that have never experienced flooding before. If not adequately mitigated, impervious surfaces will increase flooding. Compensatory storage is a best practice used in the design and construction of projects that will cause a large amount of impervious surfaces. A perfect example would be the small ponds that you may find outside of big box retailers like Walmart. Those small ponds aren't there simply for aesthetic purposes, but they provide a drainage area for the water to collect, sometimes aided by underground pipes. Over time, Floodville has changed even more, this time through the construction of an impoundment, also called a dam. The dam provides a mechanism to control the amount of water the river receives and reduce the impacts of flooding. The dam has also created a lake which drives development and recreational activities around the dam. The meteorologists have accurately forecasted heavy downpours in Floodville again, and here comes the rain. When storms come to Floodville, the dam provides the right amount of flood protection so those properties located near the water do not flood. Over time, the community enjoys the recreational benefits of the dam and slept well at night knowing they were protected. However, dams must be maintained. Unfortunately for Floodville, this was not the case and a hurricane is passing by. The excessive pressure on the dam has compromised the integrity of the structure, and residents have been warned to evacuate due to a potential breach in the dam. Just as all the residents leave, the dam finally breaks and the dam break inundation zone is flooded. The catastrophic failure of the dam has wiped out structures and all property within its path. While dam breaks are not common in Virginia, the potential for them is real and present. Depending on the size and owner of the dam, it may be regulated by DCR's Dam Safety Program. While these scenarios have demonstrated the impacts of flooding in specific situations, they are not the only ways in which flooding occurs. Hurricanes and sea level rise exponentially increase the risk in coastal zones, and they also have to consider the wave energy that is carried with the forces and how repeated contact with the structures make these situations even more hazardous. Know your risk. Find out where the flood zones and dams are within your neighborhood, also where you work and play. Protect your property. Find ways to mitigate and reduce the physical impacts of flooding. Get flood insurance. Flood insurance will help you bounce back quicker after a flood. Homeowners insurance does not cover flood damage, and 1 inch of rain can cause $25,000 worth of damage. The Virginia Flood Risk Information System and the Dam Safety Inventory System are online tools where you can find your flood zone, flood risk information, and the location of dams.